How can you build muscle and lose fat at the same time? You may have heard before that the answer is simple. You can't. If you want to gain weight, you have to do a dedicated bulking phase, and if you want to lose weight, you have to do a dedicated cut phase. Now, I really believe that this misconception comes from old school type of bodybuilding where people really thought that the only way to gain muscle was to be in a really massive surplus and then trim down to get that definition and be contest ready. Now, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against doing traditional bulks in order to gain more muscle. In fact, I had to do this multiple times myself. Doing a traditional bulk was much more effective for me to actually gain more muscle more quickly. But one thing that you really need to take into consideration, while doing a traditional bulk does increase muscle mass at a quicker rate, it also increases the amount of fat that you're gonna gain. This process is not fun and it's not sexy. A lot of people don't want to see their body fat go right back up after, for the first time in their entire lives, they're finally seeing their abs, striations, and definition in their bodies. But what if I told you that this isn't necessarily the only way to gain muscle? You don't necessarily have to lose your abs and your definition to still gain some muscle. You can honestly build muscle without having much of a high surplus or not even having a surplus at all. And the reasoning behind this is because muscle tissue and fat tissue are actually two complete different systems here. Now, a lot of people will argue that body recomp either isn't possible or it isn't really effective. It only really works in certain contexts. But honestly, I feel that those contexts aren't really that limited as people believe, and that honestly, the majority of people could achieve this. So let's talk about the instances where I do feel that body recomposition is achievable. So first of all, that would be in brand new lifters. As a new lifter, you're gonna achieve what's called newbie gains. And pretty much newbie gains means that your body is the most primed that it's ever gonna be for muscle growth. And this actually means that while you're progressing, calories can actually be pulled from your fat stores to actually fuel your muscle building. In other words, with basic resistance training and a relatively healthy diet, you could achieve both fat loss and muscle building at the same time. The second case is if you're overweight. See, if you're overweight, since you do have a large energy supply stored in your fat cells, you could be at a calorie deficit trying to diet down, and since you have so much fuel in your body, calories can be again pulled from those fat stores to fuel your muscle building even at a calorie deficit. Thirdly, people who are already priorly pretty jacked, already near their natural potential, but they stopped training for whatever reason. Maybe they got injured or they just got demotivated. Once they get back into the gym, their body is primed again for that body recomposition. Finally, we'll go into the dark side, or in other words, the use of anabolic steroids can build large amounts of muscle mass while burning fat simultaneously. So in that sense, it could also help you achieve body recomp. But again, not really recommend. And the thing is that 99% of people going to the gym falls into one of these four categories. See, even if you are a natural lifter and probably you have 2 or 3 years under your belt, you still might fall under the newbie gains, because technically you might not have advanced to the intermediate stage yet. Okay, so now that we know that body recomposition is not only possible, but it's practical, let's break it down on a step-by-step basis on how to actually achieve it. And let's go ahead and do that in 5 simple steps. Now, let's go ahead and start with step number 1, and that's gonna be that realizing that training is the most important part of this process. You could have the best diet in the world, eat over 5 million grams of protein per day, and if you're not consistently progressing in the gym with progressive overload, you're not gonna build any muscle. Step number 2, you need to decide what your primary goal actually is. I know that our overall goal here is trying to lose fat and build muscle at the same time, but focusing on a primary goal can make this a lot smoother. Now, choosing a primary goal comes down to where you're at currently in the beginning of your journey. If you're like me and you started off at a high body percent fat, you might want to consider having your primary goal being to cut down. If you're on the lower side, you might want to consider the opposite and consider your primary goal building as much muscle as possible. After you do determine what is your primary goal, the next step is going to be identifying and eating roughly around your maintenance calories. If your primary goal is to build muscle, you should do a slight calorie surplus on that maintenance, meaning a slight 5 to 25% calorie surplus on top of your calorie maintenance to help you build a little bit more muscle throughout the process. Now, if your primary goal is to lose fat, it's quite the contrary. You should enter a calorie deficit, cutting around 10 to 20% of the calorie maintenance. And honestly, the more fat that you have to lose, more likely you should be having a slightly larger deficit. Next step is actually creating your diet plan and setting up your macronutrient targets, with the primary focus being on protein, since for building muscle and body recomp in general, protein is going to be the most important macronutrient to focus on. Generally, it's recommended to eat anywhere between 1 to 1.6 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass that you currently have. Ideally, if you have a higher body fat percentage and your primary focus is to lose fat, you should be leaning towards the 1.6 grams per pound of lean body mass. However, if your primary goal is to lose fat, you should be gearing towards the 1.6 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass. And if you think about it, this makes a lot of sense. If you're at a higher body fat percentage and your primary focus is to cut body fat, you're gonna be in a slight deficit. So you need foods that, one, can help you preserve as much body mass as possible and help you build more muscle while you're in a calorie deficit. Now, if you're on the contrary, you're on the opposite side, that your primary focus is to gain weight, you can get away with eating the 1 gram per body pound of lean body mass and filling the rest of your calories with good healthy fats and carbs, and that'll help you maintain that calorie surplus. Majority of people watching this video, following steps 1 through 4 is pretty much all that you need to achieve body recomposition. Now, one thing that we need to take into consideration is the more advanced that you get, the more difficult body recomp is going to be, and there is going to come a point where you do have to make certain modifications and actually paying more attention to your nutrition and optimizing your training schedule. When I mean optimizing your training schedule, I don't mean just what you do inside of the gym. I mean what you do in and out. I mean working out, making sure that you have every single meal accounted for, and making sure that you're getting the amount of rest that you need to actually allow your body to achieve these transformations. And now that we're talking about that, that's going to be the most important factor that you need to optimize once you do reach that breaking point that body recomp is no longer possible for you. You'll find that if you just achieve much better rest, having lower stress levels, and focusing on having a good quality 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, your body recomposition is going to keep on going for months and months and months down to go. The next thing that we gotta actually look at to actually optimize when it comes to our training and nutrition is going to be actually tying in our nutrition and our training, and to be more specific, is to be timing your nutrients towards your workouts. At this point, you could also consider taking some supplements, but I do want to be honest here. There is no supplement marketed out there, to my knowledge, that's specifically for body recomp and that it actually works. Meaning, while there are some excellent options out there that you can consider to help you maximize your nutrition, not every single option that you have is going to be necessary or efficient. Now, some few things that you can consider to add would be, for example, a whey or vegan protein powder. That way, one, you're making sure that you're up there, you're keeping your protein up. Another supplement that you could consider taking is going to be creatine monohydrate. Creatine monohydrate is a fantastic supplement. It's been studied for years. It's going to help you, one, achieve more muscle mass, have more energy, and more power in the gym. Also consider taking a multivitamin, especially if you are in a calorie deficit or if your diet options are limited. That way you're ensuring that you're getting all the vitamins and minerals that your body needs to perform normally. Another thing that you could consider is also adding caffeine. Caffeine is an excellent stimulant. It's going to help you, give you more energy, more power output in the gym, and it's going to help you elevate your overall metabolism, burning a little bit more calories. So if your primary goal is to burn more fat, caffeine can be an excellent choice for you. However, if you are going to use caffeine, just make sure that you don't go overboard, and maybe don't take it after 5 or 6 p.m. if you do plan on getting any sleep whatsoever that night. Down below in the comments, Comment down below what is your primary goal starting off your body recomposition. Now, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed this video and that you found it entertaining and educational. If you did, do me a solid, destroy that like button down below and that subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm. That way I can continue making more videos for you guys. Now, thank you so much. I'll see you guys next time.